The NC State Memorial Bell Tower was an excellent example of creative construction and design in this design-build project that was the first on the NC State campus. The historic Memorial Bell Tower is an iconic structure on campus and had to be completed with the new carillon to ring for the graduating class of 2021. This project included 6 CPN member firms.
This is the Memorial Bell Tower, which was conceived originally as a memorial to alumni who were lost from the NC State community in World War I. And the project was first started 100 years ago. The idea was born in 1920, and through funding and various stages of construction, they were able to complete the tower itself over about 26 years, completing in the 40s.
And they were able to start the project in 1921. The beautiful cornerstone that you can see right up there was laid on November the 11th, 1921, Veterans Day.
And this project was to restore the tower and then also to install those, the bell carillon.
I think the shrine room is probably my favorite part.
So we're in the shrine room of the bell tower. This is at the bottom of the tower. The tablet itself had been removed by NC State and taken to a safe location on campus so that it did not continue to deteriorate. And there was a faux tablet here in its place. So what we did in this very room is take all this marble down. There was a concrete slab above us with a ceiling. We took that down to allow for the new stairs to be installed, new structural ceiling. We ran electrical and mechanical infrastructure behind the new location for the tablet, and then restored all the marble that could not be salvaged or restored. Okay, so these are new steps. There were no steps in the tower when it was originally built, so we're at the beginning of 125 step staircase to the top. And these steps are marble. When we get just past this point, they become galvanized steel. There are clocks on the exterior of the tower, one on each face, and they are right at this position. This is the center of each clock. And so originally there were 2 shafts that went through and a set of gears, and all 4 clocks were operated with one mechanism. So we had to get rid of that to allow space for the new wooden instrument. So now we have 4 separate electronic motors that control each face independently. The biggest challenge was probably getting the first 18 bells in, the largest bells. The largest bell is right at 2,000 pounds. There's a steel frame that holds all the bells in place up at the top of the tower. So what we had to do is take the roof of the tower off, lower it down, send it away for it to be restored as well. And then at that same time, hoist in the bell frame and hoist in the first 18 bells. And then come back with the restored roof assembly and put the roof back on the tower.
It honors the men from NC State who went into the military to serve our country. We remember them and we honor them in this shrine room. One of my dreams and goals would be for every person on this campus, or every person connected to NC State, to know the story of this tower.
It's always very significant to us to receive the CPN Star Award. It's a peer group. Our peers vote on this and select us, and it's really just symbolic of the hard work that we put in and the partnerships that we have with our other teammates.
Greensboro Science Center had 5 CPN member firms working on this very unique project. It was a capstone project for the Greensboro Science Center, which is a wonderful asset to the community of Greensboro. Working on the new habitat for the animals created its own challenges, working with the zoologists on staff, between the construction team and the sub-trade members.
The project is an addition to their existing
zoo, the animal discovery area. This is Revolution Ridge. This consisted of all new animal holding buildings and animal exhibits, outside animal exhibits, as well as a new animal hospital and conservatory.
The project consisted of multiple buildings for housing all of the new animals, hippos, flamingos, cat complex, cassowaries.
Each of the exhibits for the animal holding buildings themselves, as well as the outside exhibits, were all specific to the needs of each one of those animals. So it was basically a lot of small projects all wrapped up into one large project.
So behind me you'll see one of our transfer tunnels, and this is for our black-footed cat, and we also have one for our serval. So the animals have their indoor space, but then they go through this tunnel to get to the outdoor space. So you might notice there is a road in this exhibit. That was done intentionally. The road vehicle strikes are one thing that causes the cassowaries to have a lesser population. So we wanted to be able to tell that story in the exhibit. So we included the road.
Yeah, so actually a lot of the wood that's incorporated into the exhibits is actually reclaimed lumber from the existing barns from the Science Center when it opened in 1950. So a lot of this wood is over 60 years old, and we used every piece that we could to try to incorporate to preserve some of the original heritage.
We are in the Shear Animal Hospital and Tannenbaum Conservation Center. So this is dual purposes. We have two different things going on in here. We have our vet hospital that takes care of all of our animals on campus, and then we have our conservation center, which is where our team does our research and conservation efforts.
This was certainly a challenging project just due to the specific nature of the design and the construction.
The site is also quite challenging. Had a large protected stream buffer running right through the middle of the site. Kind of a complex topography. So to try to figure out how to, get an accessible walkway and all of the program elements incorporated into the site, we went through several iterations of site plans and building layouts to kind of squeeze everything in and make it not feel like it was squeezed in.
One of the main challenges was actually coordinating all of the out-of-town trades and making sure that when they mobilized that everything was coordinated properly for them to be able to do their scope of work.
There were certainly a lot of challenges, but again, because everybody worked together as a team, we were able to overcome those challenges and deliver a fantastic project to the Greensboro Science Center and the residents here around Greensboro.
To be able to walk in here and see, kids and adults of all ages learning and having fun, and knowing that you had a small part of that is incredibly rewarding.
Well, the Science Center in general is important for the community, and I went to the Science Center when I was a child.
Working here on the Science Center's campus is extremely rewarding. I've got a 4-year-old daughter, and this is one of her favorite places to come to.
The mission of a place like this, the team that we got to work with, all of that kind of comes together as, just sort of kind of a exclamation point on your career.
This award just supports what we think about this project. The final project, the team that created and made this project come to fruition, I mean, it's wonderful to see that translated to others.
Memorial Stadium is an excellent example of a renovation and restoration project taken apart piece by piece and then put back together to look like the original structure. 11 CPN member firms worked on this project. It's a great example of how we can adapt historic places for modern uses today.
This is American Legion Memorial Stadium. It's an 80-plus-year-old stadium that's a National Historic Landmark. The original stadium was at this exact location, but it was shaped slightly differently. The playing field was much smaller than it is now, and it was built more traditionally for football.
Back around 2018, the county decided that it was time for a little bit of a facelift, or more so a complete teardown and reconstruction.
There was a great desire among the public and Charlotteans to keep this stadium and not just tear it down and get rid of it, but to bring it up to a standard that could be used in a way that it had been being used over the years, but give it a new life and bring it up to today's standards.
One of the really cool, unique elements is the stone wall that's around the perimeter here. That is the stone wall. That is the stone from the stone wall that was originally here. So what we did during the demo phase, the contractor came in, demoed that stone, took it all out, palletized it, we stored it up in a parking lot, and then we put it back in this wall that you see here. There's also a American Legion Memorial Stadium sign that goes around in stone on the inside here.
The ticket booths, they were reconstructed in the exact same way, same shape, same profile. Another interesting feature that honored the previous history of the stadium was the War Memorial. This honored World War I vets.
It's an AstroTurf field, which I guess is important to note that it is one of 16 FIFA certified fields in the US, and it is outfitted with soccer, lacrosse. They can quickly set up, restripe the field, and be ready for another sporting event. One of the unique challenges is this job was done pretty much through COVID, and when COVID hit and trying to understand how to navigate the project and keep it going and keep everyone safe and what the protocols were and what the precautions need to take, so that was quite challenging.
Probably the biggest challenge that we face is that without really knowing it, there's a major stormwater culvert that's underneath this field. It's a 8-foot wide by 5-foot tall culvert that's carrying all of the drainage from miles in that direction down to Little Sugar Creek. So that was an existing culvert. It had been there for a long time. It was stone construction. It looked very much like the walls around the stadium, very outdated and in horrible shape, and it needed to be completely renovated as part of and before the stadium could be built. So that was probably the biggest challenge out of the gates.
The other thing that was quite challenging out here is just working through the weather, because as you see, this entire job, we're exposed to the elements. We were non-stop up against weather and working around weather and finding alternate measures to drain water, put additional stone down, just work around weather restrictions.
It's exciting to know that for the next 50 years that high school football games, concerts, beer festivals, all sorts of fun events that people are going to be able to enjoy the space, and I really enjoy seeing that, knowing how many hours you put into the job. Once you see people actually using it, I really enjoy that.
Opening day, I brought my kids here, we saw the soccer game, and it's just really kind of just that excitement to be able to share that experience, especially with this being a stadium, with other people.
So after finishing a project, any time that you receive a reward or recognition, it's always greatly appreciated by the construction team.
Winning the CPN Star Award is just an honor, and it's great to receive and understand that all the hard times and the effort and uniquenesses of this job are recognized, and everyone else sees and shares in the excitement of this job.